guys, 2000alexdude here. Welcome to a new series that I'm going to start. Not sure what I'm going to call it yet, but basically I'm going to be teaching you about the basics of Redstone. Then I'm going to get a little bit more advanced. I'm basically going to walk you through Redstone. So this series is for people who don't know any Redstone or who just want to learn a bit more. Because there will be more advanced episodes coming later in the future, but for the start we're going to start off with the basics. So I'm on a map that I found on Reddit. Not sure what it's called. I think it's called a Redstone lab, and it has all these things that are really good at explaining Redstone. So why don't we start off with the very basics. This episode is for people who know nothing about Redstone. So let's start off with the very basics. We go over here, and here we go. So Redstone can be used as an input device. So stone buttons will send a redstone pulse for 1 second when they are right clicked. And hang on a second, let me just turn down that. Weather off. Alright, that's better. Yeah. So let's go back. Stone buttons send 1 second pulses when they are right clicked, so you can see 1 second. Wooden buttons will do the same thing, but they will send a pulse of 1.5 seconds. And you can also shoot them. You can also shoot them with an arrow, and that arrow will stay there for 1 minute, I believe. So that will send a 1 minute pulse. Levers are either on or off. So on, off. Stone pressure plates can detect entities such as mobs and players, but will not detect items, unlike a wooden pressure plate. So you can see the difference. There's also these two pressure plates, which they have changed recently, actually. So they used to count items, and they still do, but now they count entities. So that includes items. So players, mobs, items, whatever. This is a heavy pressure plate, and this is a weighted pressure plate. The difference between these two pressure plates is that one of them counts more items before it gives out a stronger signal, and we will talk about that later. So we'll get back to that later. Daylight sensors give a power depending on the time. So at the moment it's around about 10 in the morning, so it's going to be giving a pretty strong signal because it has a lot of light. Tripwire hooks send powers when any entity passes through them. So this is just string here. You can put string on the ground, and you've got to connect them up with these tripwire hooks. And when you walk through them or chuck an item through them, they go off. This is a trap chest, and it will send a power dependent on how many people are in the chest at the same time. So I will demonstrate that later once we get onto power signals. So here, let's get on to the next part of Redstone. So this is a bit more advanced. We have redstone torches. Now whenever a redstone torch receives power, it will turn off, as you can see here. So we can use these to make some logic gates, like NOT gates and stuff like that. But redstone torches by default will always be on, so you can use it as a power source. And if you see I put it on this redstone block, it turns off because the redstone block is also a power source. Redstone torches will power redstone dust and blocks above them. Redstone torches power devices next to them and under them too. So here we've got some redstone going down. And using this mechanic, it is possible to make something called a burnout clock. And I'll show you that right now. Because remember how redstone powers, if redstone powers a block with a redstone torch on it, the redstone torch will turn on. As you can see, it just flashed really rapidly, because what happens is the redstone powers this block, which powers the redstone, turning the torch off. But that means there's nothing powering the redstone, so it turns off, and then that turns on again, and it keeps doing that forever, or until it burns out. Alright, so here we have a way to send a redstone signal vertical. So, turn this off, piston goes up, piston goes down. Here's another way, a bit slower. I believe there is a 1 tick delay with redstone torches, so you need to keep that in mind when doing vertical wire. So here we have a final way if there's a button. Nope. Alright. See, this one's pretty fast. It uses redstone and redstone torches. And here's one to send it down. Yep. So that's it with redstone torches. Now let's go on to redstone blocks. Redstone block. It is always on, and it can be moved around by pistons. It powers itself. So here we've got it powering some redstone and a piston. Now what we can do is we can power other pistons just like that. So that's one thing a redstone block can do, and I would like to show you another feature of the redstone block. So let's see if I can build this right. There we go. As you can see, this is a never-ending clock. This one does not burn out like the redstone torch one I showed you, because what is happening is this is powering, when this goes over here, as you can see, it's powering that redstone, which is powering the piston to push it out. But once it's pushed out, there's nothing powering it, so it retracts again and it goes on forever. But it's very loud. So let's get on to the next one. Redstone wire. Redstone wire can travel for 15 blocks before it peters out and has no more electricity. So you can see it's kind of like real life wiring where it kind of loses a bit of energy, but after 15 blocks, got to put a repeater, and a repeater will pump the strength back up to 15 blocks. It will pump the strength back up to this amount, which we call power level 15, and down here is power level 1. So it will bump the strength back up here, but it will add 1 tick of delay. So keep that in mind when you're using a lot of repeaters. Expect the output to be after the input, because there will be a delay. Here we have something that shows you how each different piston can be powered with redstone wire. See, these ones are not connected because the redstone wire is not touching them in any sort of way. Here we have it going directly into the piston, directly into the piston, directly into the block which is powering the piston, and directly into the block which is powering the piston. This does get confusing sometimes, so I'm going to show you a neat little trick. If you're having this problem, you can do that, or that, and then, oops, then you could do that, and that will power the piston, because it is powering the block next to the piston. But otherwise, this will not power. As you can see, redstone wire will power all blocks around it. Now, let's move on to repeaters. So a repeater, like I said, will bump the signal strength back up to 15. So you can see it's very dark down here, and then it goes right up really bright and can make it all the way around. If that repeater was not there, it would not make it. But if you look carefully, you can actually do this with the repeaters. And that will add more of a delay, so I'll show you. Watch. When I click it, it doesn't go off instantly, because there was a 4-tick delay, and now there's a 1-tick delay. So it's more instant. Keep in mind that when making big circuits. Repeaters can be locked in specific power states by either a comparator or a repeater. So as you can see, there is now a bedrock thing across it, and this means that it's locked in whatever state it was on. So if we actually turn it on, now it's locked in on position. Redstone wire does not do this, however. You have to put a repeater into another repeater. That's why there are these little bumps on the side, just indicating that. And it can be done with, can it be done with a comparator? Ah, I guess it can't be done with a comparator. Oh, it can, but the thing doesn't show up. Huh, that's strange. There's a bug report. It shows up like this, but not like that. That's weird. I didn't know that. You learn something new every day. Repeaters have a default delay of 0.1 of a second, 1 redstone tick. Now, there are 20 Minecraft ticks in a second, but 10 redstone ticks in a second, so you've got to keep that in mind. This delay can be set to 2, 3, or 4, depending, so. Pretty cool, huh? Delay applies on both rising and falling. If the delay is greater than the pulse, then the pulse will take the delay's length. So let's move over to here. Comparators. Now, I myself do not fully understand comparators, but I do know how to use them properly. So they take one redstone tick to update, and they compare signal strengths. So the output is green, the inputs B is left and right, and A is forwards. So we'll take this signal and put the weaker one, I believe. Here, A equals 13, B equals 11. So it will take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, it will take the stronger signal and output it. But I think if we turn on to subtraction mode, it will take 2, because 13 minus 11 is 2. So there are 2 modes on it. There's subtraction and addition, or comparison. There's comparing mode and subtracting mode. Sorry, I can't talk today. Subtraction mode will do exactly what it says, and comparing mode will compare for the strongest signal. And here we have some more comparative stuff. Using this mechanic, this comparing mode, subtraction mode, we can make some pretty cool things. So notice this is a block of redstone, powers it from behind. Once we do this, you can see it makes a rapid clock. Now we have to go out like 3 before we can actually take a reading from this, but you can see it's powering pretty rapidly. So a lot of people use this, but once we flick it off, it turns off. The good thing about this is we can toggle it on and off with like a lever. So you can have a redstone input to the back, which needs to be of 15, I think, for the clock to work. Yeah, but that's the only thing really. Connectivity and block powering. Most normal blocks are conductors. Now there are some blocks that make an exception, but most of them. So why I can power a block, I think we went over this already. Sorry, I'm just itching my face and the microphone's really close. We went over this before, but yeah. Redstone signal can be conveyed through most blocks. Some blocks, however, will not let it, such as any transparent block, like glass, or glowstone, I think, does not carry that either. Block signals can only be caught through a comparator, not by redstone, so you can't have it like this, because it gets weakened down to a strength of 1 in the block, which means only a thing can take it out, because this would not be strong enough. If a repeater sends it into, all the blocks around it will get powered, so just keep that in mind. And here we have an example of what will work and what won't work. So you can see, this is powering this block. Sorry, this is powering this block, but there's nothing there. So unless there is actually a block there, nothing will power this. Same with this, because it does not, because it gets weakened down to signal of 1, and this is 0. Same here. Same here. It is not connecting because there is a block here. As you can see, it stops connecting. Now, redstone can only travel up 1 block too, so yeah. And here it's not connecting because we saw this over here. Here it will not connect because there's nothing powering the repeater. But here it will because there is something. So let's move on. We're going to finish the whole red section in this video. Transparent blocks are isolators and can't conduct. Now, we talked a bit about this. These are all transparent blocks. None of these can conduct electricity. However, however, these will respond. Redstone torches can be placed on a number of blocks, such as glass fences and cobble fences. Glowstone only accepts redstone dust. Now you can do some pretty neat things with some glowstone and some redstone dust. I wonder if this still works. Yeah, it still works. So what happens is we power this and it goes up, and we can use this to make a very, very fast upwards wire. Now this also works with slabs and stuff, but yeah. So let's go over here. Hoppers, top slabs, and upside down stairs accept anything redstone related on top of them only. So here, again, we can do the same glowstone trick. If I can get this. There we go. As you can see, that clearly accepts that. And same here. So we can use this to do the fast upwards wiring too. Time, set date. Excuse me, I got a burp. Wow, I don't know why I needed to burp. Haven't eaten anything today, but yep. So here's some things that will and will not let redstone pass through them. Here's a solid block. This is not a solid block. This is not a solid block. Neither are these two. So you can see redstone will only pass through a proper solid block, and that makes sense. I mean, there's just air here. What the hell? Here are some pistons. Quasi-connectivity issues can be avoided by using transparent blocks. Now, quasi-connectivity is... this is hard to explain. Basically, a piston will not be powered by this power source. It will look for power around it, but technically the piston is being powered by this lever here, because this block here is diagonal to the piston. It is powering it, but it's not extending. This is something called a block update, and when we put a block next to it, it realizes, oh no, I'm being powered, I better extend. Now once we turn this off, it doesn't realize that it's not being powered anymore, so we can just have an extended piston. But once you put a block next to it, it will update. So this is what we call a block update, and like I said, quasi-connectivity can be avoided by using transparent blocks. And the only reason this piston is going out is because it's receiving a block update. That's why this one isn't. Here we have some examples of redstone that will and will not work. Cannot travel down half slabs, but it can travel up. Again, these will not work because glowstone does not let it down, but it does let it up. It's really weird. There's some more. It can travel through wood stairs, actually. It will not be stopped by wood stairs because they are not a full block, but it will be stopped by this full block here. So, yeah, that's a pretty neat example. Let's go over here. Here's some more things. Here are some outputs. So, trapdoors. Wooden doors can be broken by zombies, so keep that in mind. But iron doors can only be opened with redstone. As you can, I can't click on it. Fence gates, note blocks, and the sound changes depending on what's under it. So at the moment there's dirt, but if we put something like wool, same sound, sorry. We put something like sandstone, it's a different sound. It's like a bass. We put wood, it's like a bass, so pretty cool, huh? Lamps, don't forget they are solid blocks, so they can conduct a current. Dispensers will fire arrows. Items, most items will be dropped out, but if you really want to drop out items, you should use a hopper, because they will not fire out any items. You can put potions, XP bottles, mine carts, boats in here, and it will dispense them onto the track or the water. Here's a hopper. Hoppers will suck whatever's thrown into them into an inventory that it's pointing into. Now a hopper can point into another hopper, and you can see that looks like that at the bottom, and it will just plop whatever's thrown in there to the hopper that it's pointing into, or the inventory that it's pointing into. Now if you put a redstone signal on there, it will not suck in anything, but when you take it off, it will. TNT goes boom after a short while. Let's pretend this is TNT. Yep, you get the point. Let's go over here. Here we have pistons, which is my favorite thing. So, here we can see that a piston will only pull back something if it has extended. It will not pull back something if it just touches it. And we can solve this problem by making something called a double piston extender, which I will show shortly. When given a 1-tick pulse, a sticky piston will not pull back, but it will just spit it out and go meh, and spit it out and pull it back in. We use this for we can use this for a gate, a logic gate, which we call a toggle latch or a T flip-flop. No, pretty funny name, but it's pretty cool. Pistons can push up to 12 blocks, but can only pull up to 1 block at a time. So that's why it will not pull an extended sticky piston. And that's what a double piston extender is. So we can see here we've got some connecting things. So that actually hasn't received an update yet. We talked about this with quasi connectivity. So we just have to put a block next to it. The lower piston is updated by the higher one. So I also went over this. This one's only being powered by this one. And you see it doesn't work with the slab there, like it said before. No reaction, no update, no reaction to remote wiring or powering. Now this is one of my favorite things, because they all go out at different times, but then they retract at the same time. It looks really cool. Pistons are very sensitive to torches. Very, very sensitive. Now, I wanted to show you the double piston extender. Now, this uses some different timings and stuff like that, so this might be a bit confusing, but I'll try and make it as simple as I can. This is Mumbo Jumbo's design, I believe. So basically what you do is you put 4 blocks down, repeat it on 2 ticks, repeat it on 2 ticks to get 2 sticky pistons, and you put a block here, and that's it. So you can see it pushes the block out by 2, and then it pulls it back in by 2. It has to do this sort of caterpillar thing to get back, so yeah. That's, people make ridiculous, like, 16 piston extender. It takes like 5 minutes to turn on and 5 minutes to turn off. It's ridiculous, but it looks really cool. So here we have some rails. Now, as you can see, a powered rail will not move the minecart until it receives power, when it will move the minecart. So this is good for stations where you want it to stop. Here we have some powered rails that are powered by a torch, and this is a detector rail. When the minecart goes over it, it will put a it will spit out a signal of 15, so a pretty strong one too. This is an activator rail, and it will activate. Activator rails will detonate TNT carts, and in the new snapshot they will turn on command block carts. But this is a hopper cart, and it will turn off the hopper cart. It will apply the redstone signal to the hopper like it did over there, and it will stop it from sucking in items or putting out items while it's on the rail. There's not really much use for that, but it's good to be there. So here we have some different things with rails. As you can see, it's going over here, and it will snap to the rail like that. And when you apply a redstone signal to a rail, it actually changes which direction. So this is really good for some intersections. See, the cart will come through here, keep going. Now it will come through here and bend. So yep. So that's about it for episode 1 of learning to redstone, or whatever I'm going to call it. Yeah, so if you like this series and it is helping, and you find that the series does help you, leave a like or a comment. That would really mean a lot, because I'd like to keep continuing this series, and if it's helpful for you guys, that's good. So yeah, so that's about it. Next episode we will be going over some of this stuff over here, and some more of this stuff, and eventually we'll get to this awesome things over here, but you'll just have to wait for that, sorry. Yeah, so that's about it. So until then, see you soon.